Welcome to Toast to Brews. My name is Jake Riley, and today we are in my hometown of Creston, Iowa, to visit a very cool little place by the name of Hot Air Brewing. Now, I make it a point to visit this place every time I'm in town, and today we will be speaking with the owner, Katie Davidson, to get a little tour of the inside of the establishment, learn a little bit more about hot air, and to taste some delicious beers. So, without any further ado, let's head on in.
I love the view when you walk into this brewery. Right in front, you see the tap handles there, and then you get the balloon basket in the back. To the left, we have some nice, comfortable seating right in front of those big windows. Then you move on down, you get to the cheers wall, and I love that. I love the style, all the languages. It just reinforces the overall vibe of this place, which is unmistakably welcome. In the back's a bit of a separate space or a spot for kids to play. And then on the other side of the bar here, we have some of the brewery equipment. The rest is in the basement below. There's some seating at the bar. There's also some smaller tables. And then as we get back up to the front, we see some comfortable seating in front of that garage door for some fresh air in the summer. Or you can just go outside and sit on that deck seating there and enjoy the outside even more. Everything about this place is relaxed and welcoming. It's just a great gathering place, and you instantly feel right at home. So now that you've seen it, let's hear what owner Katie has to say about hot air and what it's all about. Katie, thank you so much for letting us come and do this today. I'm really excited to be here, so well worth
Welcome
the
back,
drive.
Jake.
Thank you. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Katie Davidson, and this is my brewery. It's called Hot Air Brewing, and we're in Creston, Iowa, about an hour southwest of Des Moines.
Okay. And when did you guys open?
We have been open 2 years in February, so we opened kind of in the middle of COVID, and we kind of started all of our planning right before COVID hit. And by the time COVID had hit, we were kind of too far into it to stop and take a break, so we just plowed ahead and spent a lot more money than we planned to, but we eventually did open ahead of schedule. Our schedule was to open in the summer of 21. We actually opened in February because we just couldn't keep hemorrhaging money anymore. So so we opened with 3 beers, 2 in firkins, which are like little small kegs, and 1 in a sixtel, like a 5-gallon keg. And we did that for the first six-ish weeks. And then eventually we started having 6 beers on tap, 9 beers on tap, and now we have 12.
Okay. And I read you guys have a 7-barrel system now?
We do,
Is that
yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that you said that puts out about 200 and some gallons?
Yeah, 217 gallons per large batch brewed. We do a lot of half batches just because some of our beers we don't distribute quite as much, and so they're just for taproom sales only. And so we'll do a 3.5 barrel batch, and that will last us for a while.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And how often do you guys come out with new beers? Is it a weekly thing or monthly or?
Not weekly. I would say, depending on what's going on, we may have 2 or 3 new beers a month. During our anniversary month, I think we released 1 new beer a week that month. And then in the summer, usually at the beginning of the summer, and anytime the season changes, we'll release a couple of new ones. Okay. And then we've also been doing a lot of kind of custom small batch beers for birthdays and weddings.
I saw this, you can get a beer, your own beer for your wedding. And I think if I wasn't already married, I would be in line to do that.
You could do an anniversary beer.
I may have.
You could totally do that.
Our 10 years coming up, so that might
Already?
be. I know, it's crazy.
That's a long time. That's awesome.
It is. That is so cool.
Yep. So we've had a lot of those small batches, and so the way that works is he'll brew like a 10-gallon batch, and 5 gallons will be specifically for the person it's being brewed for. So they'll get to drink that beer until it's gone, and they'll drink it for free. I mean, they pay a fee to have the beer brewed for them. Okay. But then while it's on tap, they drink for free, and then we sell the rest of it. So it works out well for all of us.
That is very neat. And do they kind of have style guidelines? Can they tell you what they want, you figure it out, or do they come in with recipes?
So they will give us a style guideline. Usually it's going to be an ale because it will ferment faster. We did have, because someone had given us enough notice, that Czech Dark Lager was actually a birthday beer.
Oh, really?
So his girlfriend had told us back in January that she wanted to do a birthday beer for him, and so we had enough time to do a lager, which lagering means to store, and so we had it was probably 10 weeks that we had it lagering, so that's another reason why it was so delicious, because it was perfect. It was great.
Beer making is definitely a commitment. It's not just something that you can start tomorrow or yesterday and then drink tomorrow.
Yeah,
So.
for sure. Yeah.
Okay. And Hot Air, I love the name and the logo and everything, but you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So, Creston has had since the mid 80s a balloon festival every September. And a lot of people have said, I never knew Creston had that. Well, it usually is on the weekend of the Iowa State game, so that's probably why you've never heard of it. But a lot of times people think we're from Indianola when they see us at festivals and everything. But no, Creston has its very own small hot air balloon festival and race. And it's usually the second or third weekend of September. And so I grew up in Creston. I have really good memories of the parade and seeing the balloons go up and doing the night glow out at the airport, and just really fond memories of that tradition. And so I wanted to make sure that the brewery has more of a name that ties it to the community. So that's where that comes from. And then I also want people to feel kind of lifted up when they come in here, and so that gives it a second double meaning to have it be Hot Air Brewing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is just, this does feel like an uplifting place. It's so
Yes.
bright in here. You got all the words of welcome and cheers on the walls, and I love the balloon basket up there for
Yeah,
decoration.
you have to get that in
Yeah.
in some footage.
And I do love, you guys do a ton of things with the community, for the community. You guys have a ton of different events. It seems like every time I check your Facebook page, you're doing something else cool. You had some wrestling out here. I saw some
Yeah.
medieval Renaissance stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys are always doing events, it
Yep.
seems like. What are some of your favorites? Or some that you have upcoming?
So let's see. We do the wrestling event, so we call it the Brewhouse Brawl, and that's in
Okay.
August. And this year will be the third year we've been doing that. So that will be really exciting. And we basically block the street off, and they set up a ring, and they wrestle in it, and the kids get to trash talk and root for their favorites, and it's a lot of fun. And oh, cool, perfect. And yeah, so that one is great. We have some drag brunch and bingo that we'll do a few times a year, and that's a lot of fun. We do our hot air spring ball, and that's essentially we have Rocky Mountain oysters. We really wanted to have turkey fries or turkey testicles this year, but so we basically do a testicle fry with, this year we did beef and pork, and then other ball-shaped foods. So that was a lot of fun. And so our brewer and another local guy, they have their own methods of breading.
Yep.
And so they each did theirs, and then people can vote on which one they thought was the best. And then we had a trophy, which was my favorite thing ever.
That
You
is
should follow our
amazing.
Instagram, go back to April 15th and see the trophy. It's the best trophy you'll ever see.
Now, who won, the brewer or the competition?
The competition.
Ooh.
Which is surprising because my favorite was Jay's, I thought were better, but I think the people who voted had more experience judging nuts, maybe. So I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a
We'll
good
have to
time.
see how it goes next year.
It was a lot of fun.
For somebody who has not been here before, they don't know anything about it, what would you want them to know? The number one thing, like why come here over somewhere else, or what makes this place so cool?
Anybody's welcome here. So regardless of what identities you have, where you're from, what you look like, you are welcome here, and hopefully we have something that you want to drink. Ideally, it's one of our craft beers. We've got a couple of non-alcoholic options too, and we just want people to feel no pressure when they come in here. We want them to feel lifted up, and yeah,
Very cool.
it's the main purpose.
Well, I think that does make a good segue, though. Let's talk about some of the beers.
Awesome.
And what are you drinking?
So I am drinking Sticks of Stubblefield Lime Berliner Weiss, and this beer is named after James Brown's funky drummer Clyde Stubblefield, who is the most sampled drummer in history. So many of like current pop hits sample his drum lines. And it is made with fresh lime zest and lime juice and sea salt, and it's amazing. It's got a low ABV, a low alcohol by volume, so you can have several and not turn into a mess. Although you can pump it up with a shot of tequila if you want. It is delicious.
All
with
right,
that.
you guys have
Yes.
tequila here too.
We don't yet. We probably will start carrying some liquor
Okay.
when we're being kind of forced to upgrade our license in October.
Okay.
The way the licensing in Iowa works is right now it's beer and wine, and then in October it will be kind of a big picture liquor license for everything. So when that happens, we will have tequila and we'll add it to this, and it'll be delicious.
Okay, I'm sure it will, but we might have to head back for that.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah.
I'm drinking Recreational Outrage, and that is one of their IPAs, and it is delicious.
It's a very kind of IPA friendly IPA, I guess I would say. It's a blend of Citra, Mosaic, and Amarillo hops, and it's got that kind of aroma and character of a hoppy beer, and the bitterness is very balanced. So it's a great IPA for people who are just trying to like increase their hop tolerance, I guess you could say. Because it's very drinkable, really good.
Oh, I totally agree. I am a huge IPA fan, hophead all the way, and this will not blow out your taste buds. It is very fruity and very citrusy, but you do get that hop aroma and flavor without being overly bitter, because that can be really off-putting for some people.
It can, if you're not used to it, and if you want to be able to taste other things.
So you've got a couple festivals that you're going to be going to and having beers at. Are there any other events where you could get beers from Hot Air, not at Hot Air?
Yes, so we will be at Zoo Brew every week this summer. So those of you in the Des Moines area, Zoo Brew is at Blank Park Zoo. I believe it starts at 5:15 every Wednesday throughout the summer, starting June 7th. Yes, that's the first Wednesday in June. And it goes through August 9th. So every Wednesday I'll be there with 2 different beers to sample. We'll probably do the Lime Berliner Weiss every week and then another beer kind of rotating. So the first week will be this Canary in a Coal Mine German Pilsner and then the Sticks of Stubblefield Lime Berliner Weiss. But I'll bring up the Coffee Porter, I'll bring up the IPA, and that way you can try samples. If you're coming to Zoo Brew, you can try samples of all of our beers throughout the summer and know what you like so that you can make a trip down to Hot Air and drink whatever you want.
Excellent. Well, that sounds, I mean, who doesn't love animals and beer? You can't really go wrong.
Oh, totally.
And I love that is something else that I think breweries in general are moving more towards, like family-friendly events. Like
That
you
one's
can bring-
not family friendly.
Oh, it's not
No,
family
it's
friendly.
21 and up.
Is it really?
Which is even better because you're at a zoo with no kids.
There you go.
It's the
I
best
love
thing
that.
ever.
Okay.
Yes.
But you
Yeah.
guys do seem like a pretty kid-friendly tap
We are
room.
kid friendly, yep. So we've got a whole kind of section cordoned off that is for kids. We've got a lot of board games. We've got some Barbies and trucks and things for littler kids to play with. And we're trying to keep our events kind of kid friendly. The wrestling event definitely is one that brings in lots of kids. That medieval, the Renaissance thing that you were talking about, that's called Swords in the Streets, and that's a sword fighting group that comes down out of Des Moines, and they basically just fight with their swords and their medieval weaponry, and they've got these personas that they've crafted, and it's really cool. So like the nerdy kids especially love that kind of stuff. Speaking of nerdy, we have a weekly Dungeons and Dragons group that meets here on Saturdays at 1, and our dungeon master is phenomenal. He's a good friend of our taproom manager and me, and he's just a fantastic dungeon master for experienced D&D players and new ones. So highly recommend coming in on Saturdays at 1 for that. But yeah, we're trying to do stuff for people who don't have stuff to do. So
I love that. So not just a gateway to craft beer, but a gateway to fun and D&D and anything else that you want to do.
Pretty much.
I love it. So on that note, I guess with all the craft beers out there, or I guess with all the domestic beers out there, like why should people drink craft beer instead of Bud Light or Busch Light?
Well, I'd say the number one reason is because it tastes better.
It does.
It does. It really does. But it's also brewed locally. You're supporting local people in your community when you drink craft beer from a brewery. You can watch it being made. Honestly, if you come in here certain days, Jay's brewing, you can smell it. If you walk by, you know he's brewing, and then you know you'll be able to drink that within a couple weeks. And really it is just, there's so much variety and there's so many different ways to brew beer and to taste beer and so many different things to add to it. You never get bored. So I would say that if you come here, you find your comfort beer, you find your core beer that we'll have on tap all the time, that can be your go-to, and then you try whatever else that you want, and you know you still have this safety net to fall into, including Busch Light if you must. But being able to try new things in a safe environment, it's just beer, it's not going to kill you, that can really start to open your mind to other possibilities.
Definitely. And you guys have a lot of food trucks that come by too, so it's not like you
We're
just
trying
have to
to,
drink
yeah.
on an empty stomach, right? I think tonight is trivia night and tacos.
Yep, so we have a Mexican restaurant a block away, and they cater in every other Tuesday. So they'll have taco salads, tortas, tacos, some other snacky things that go great with beer. And we are trying to bring in food trucks. Once a month we have Salvadoran pupusas.
Okay.
So those are always super popular. And then there is a food truck in town that we try to get here too. They'll be here for a veterans event we have going on Memorial Day weekend. So yeah, we try to, and we let you bring in whatever you want. So if you want wings or pizza from a local restaurant, bring it in. We don't care. We just want you to be here and be able to drink good beer with your food and have a good time.
I love that. And yeah, you mentioned the Veterans Day event, but you guys do some charity stuff around here as well. And I know some of that made the news recently.
Oh, it did, yeah.
Apparently I get to go home with a calendar
You do.
I'm very excited about.
Yes, if you Google Naked Mayor, Creston, Iowa, Hot Air Brewing, you'll get to see me on the news talking about how our mayor posed for our Father Figures fundraiser calendar, and he was not naked, but he looks naked because he's got a chicken in his lap. And we, instead of selling less than 100 calendars, which was kind of our goal was 100, we ended up selling over 500 calendars. So
you guys raised a lot of money.
Yep, we were hoping to donate $500 and ended up donating $1,000 to 3 different food charities around Christmas time. So it was pretty awesome.
That is amazing.
It was great.
Such a good cause. That's just phenomenal.
I'm happy for people to be mad at nothing when it means that we can raise $3,000 for food insecurity causes in our community. So
I just love it. It's a great example of a brewery not just giving us great beers, but also giving back, and that's always great to see. Thank you.
For sure.
So there you have it. That was our toast to Hot Air Brewing. It's definitely worth a shot if you're ever in town, or a special little trip if you've got a free afternoon. If you see this on tap and anywhere in Iowa, go ahead and give it a try. I don't think you will be disappointed. So I will be putting out more content soon and hopefully doing some more brewery tours. So if you like, please check back in and share. And thank you for joining me on this episode of A Toast to Brews.